take them to the factory and it's like, you know.
We're going to wrap up. You have 5 sons. It's always hard to be a cool dad. What do your kids think is the coolest thing about dad?
I'm not sure.
The rockets, the cars?
They don't seem too excited about these things because I kind of, I take them to the factory and it's like, you know, is this exciting? They're like, oh, we've seen it 20 times.
Like, you get more excitement out of it than they do.
Really? Yeah. No, I know. I mean, maybe they were secretly excited and they just didn't want to let on that, you know, to me. But I do try to get them excited about these things, but they seem to be like more excited about like if I play a video game with them. That seems to be like their favorite thing. But they're only like the twins are 10 and the triplets are 7, so they're on the fairly young side.
What drives you? What is it that when you wake up in the morning, do you see a problem and you want to solve it?
To be inspired by what is likely to happen and to look forward to the next day. Going to be so, and the underlying principle behind Tesla and SpaceX. Pretty important that we accelerate the transition to sustainable generation and consumption of energy. It's inevitable, but it matters if it happens sooner or later. And then SpaceX is about helping make life multiplanetary and doing what we can to continue the dream of Apollo, ultimately make a contribution to life becoming multiplanetary.
So what's your vision there?
You know, particularly for Americans, you know, like think about America is a nation of explorers. People came here from other parts of the world, chose to give up the known in favor of the unknown. So I think exploration, I think the United States is a distillation of the human spirit of exploration. So that's why it appeals to Americans so much. You can see this when there was a shuttle tragedy and 7 people died, and that's terrible, but you know, a lot of people die all the time. But why do we care so much? Because it was the dream of exploration that was dying along with those people. That's why.
No, and I'm one of those, and probably like many of you, remember exactly where you were when that tragedy happened. So you have 30 plus governors here today, and we're very excited about your willingness to be with us. And you hopefully heard me talk a little bit about my initiative, which is being ahead of the curve. What do you tell us as governors? What should we be thinking about in terms of innovation and developing public policy for the future?
Well, sure is important to get the rules right. You know, it's sort of, in terms of legislative and executive actions, you know, it's sort of like, think of, say, like professional sports or something. If you don't have the rules right, if there isn't set up properly, it's not going to be a good game. So it's real important to get the rules right. Now, I think it's worth noting that I think still in the United States, the rules are still better than anywhere else. It's very easy to put something in place which is an inhibitor to innovation without realizing. So in terms of the regulatory environment, it's important to bear in mind that regulations are immortal. Actually goes and kills them, and then they get a lot of momentum. So a lot of times regulations can be put in place for all the right reasons, but then nobody goes back and gets rid of them afterwards when they no longer make sense. You know, and there used to be a rule in the early days when people were concerned about automobiles, because that was a pretty scary thing, see a carriage just going wrong by itself. Mm-hmm. You know, you never know what those things might do. So there were like rules where you had to, in a lot of states, where you had to carry a lantern in front of the automobile. It had to be like 100 paces ahead of the automobile. There had to be someone with a lantern on a pole. Even if done correctly and being right at the time, it's always important to go back and scrub those periodically to make sure they're still sensible and they're still serving the greater good. I think in terms of tax structure, what is economically incented and what is not economically incented, just make sure that the incentive structure is correct. I think I'm saying just totally common sense things here.